Hello, and welcome to today's devotional. I hope you had a great weekend and that all's gone well with you. Here we are in the week, and it's time to get back into our devotionals. So we're looking at Proverbs chapter 8, verse 5. We've been working through this chapter of Proverbs, of course, and what we are seeing here, just to remind everybody of the context of this verse, what we're seeing here is this personification of wisdom, and we're being told of how humans were built for wisdom, and so it's like wisdom is this woman calling out to us in the key areas of our life, along the road and at the gates of the city. And so there's this idea of your as your life progresses into these key areas, as you're making decisions and how you're going to walk and which road to take and the business you're going to do. We need to learn to apply wisdom to all that we do. And so this is just a kind of a poetic and a symbolic way of talking about how God designed us for this, to grow in wisdom. So it's like wisdom is calling you. So in verse 5, we have what she says, right? So it starts into what she says there. And so we'll read it. So it was setting up that picture in our minds, and now it's starting to say some of the words that wisdom is calling to us. And says in verse 5, "O naive ones, understand prudence, and O fools, understand wisdom." Excuse me. So once again, in the poetry that is Proverbs, there's this thing throughout the whole book of Proverbs of the coupling of two sentences that are meant to go together to help us understand a point. And so sometimes they're contrasting each other. Sometimes they're the same point just said a slightly different way. And so it's meant to build a deeper understanding for this. And this is the way Hebrew poetry works. The Hebrew language only has about 8,500 words in it, the ancient Hebrew language, whereas English, for instance, has a few 100,000 words. So it's a big difference. We can have words say complex ideas in English that in the ancient Hebrew language they had to find creative ways to use the small vocabulary they had to express deep ideas. So they would do this. They would often couple sentences together to try and go a little deeper. And that's what's happening here. So you might look at this and go, okay, it says, "Oh, naive ones," right? So wisdom is calling out to naive people, and it says, "Oh, fools, understand wisdom." And we could look at that and we could go, "Oh, that's so insulting," right? And we could feel like that's an insulting thing to call someone a fool or call someone naive. But that's not the point. The point isn't that wisdom is calling out in order to insult you. That's not the point. The point is to be instructive. And it's saying, listen, there's an idea here that we need to understand. So let's just examine what's the idea. Well, both parts of the sentence use the same word of understanding. So the naive ones understand prudence. Oh, fools understand wisdom. And in both cases, that understand word, once again from that ancient Hebrew language, it's kind of focusing on this idea of pay attention, like look into this, gain this, gain something. So understand through investigation, through looking into it, gain it, gain the thing that they're saying. In this case, prudence and wisdom. And so that's kind of the focus of this sentence is the process of gaining, right? Gaining something. So pay attention to this so that you can gain it. So what is it you're gaining? Well, it's clarifying that by saying, "You naive one," right? The naive one is the person who lacks a knowledge, lacks an understanding. They have a lack of experience. They haven't figured this out yet. The fool in this sentence, well, that's a person who hasn't gained wisdom. They have a lack of wisdom. They haven't gained it. And so you've got this idea of lack of experience, lack of having the thing. In both cases, the key is you just don't get it yet. You haven't got wisdom yet. So he's calling out basically, you who don't have wisdom, pay attention. So then he uses the word prudence and the word wisdom, and these two words, slightly different meanings, but the combined idea would be this idea of having knowledge. Prudence, having the wisdom to know when to act, not to act, and wisdom, of course, having wisdom, the insight into things. And so there's this combined idea of the knowing of what to do, the knowing of what's right, what a good choice is. And so you get these two ideas, right? Of you people who don't have it, pay attention or look into, gain it. Gain what? Wisdom. So those that don't have wisdom, pay attention to gaining wisdom. And that's the point here. Now that may seem like an awful long way to go just to help emphasize this point, but I think that the important thing here is that this verse is clarifying a very important fact that a lot of people miss, and that is that we all start out as the naive fool, and we all want to be, or we want to at least be seen as having wisdom. But you don't automatically have it, right? You start out at this end of naive. I haven't got experience of of being the fool, the one who doesn't know what the wise thing is. And then to get to that wisdom place, you have to do the pay attention part, the look into it, learn it, gain it, go for it. It's kind of like this verse is saying to you, you've got to admit that you need it. You have to start out by admitting, I need wisdom. And if you can't admit that, if your pride gets in the way and you're like, no, no, don't call me a fool, that's insulting, and you're not able to do it, then you're never actually going to get there, because you're never going to listen to the call of wisdom. Because the person that wisdom is calling out to is the one who doesn't have wisdom. She's calling out you who don't have it. Pay attention to get it. And if you're gonna, if you're gonna be the kind of person who's like, I won't admit my naivete, I won't admit my foolishness, I won't admit my simplicity, my lack of knowledge, my lack of wisdom, because I find that offensive, or I find that threatens my self-esteem or something, then you are never going to get there. You're never going to get wise. You will remain a fool. You will remain naive, and that's not a good thing. A very wise man is a man who can admit his naivete or his foolishness. It takes a really great wisdom to be able to admit that. I can't remember how it goes, but there was another, like a non-biblical proverb, but something along the lines of, you start to have wisdom when you realize how much you lack, or you become wise when you know that you don't know. And I think that's very true, and I think that's what this verse is trying to say. It's a starting point for us to be able to admit, I don't know, and I need to be taught. And so that's the call here. It's the call to come to wisdom, but it's also a call to recognize your start point. I'm in need, so I'm going to pay attention, and I'm going to look into the gaining of knowledge because I lack it. So I'm going to look into gaining it. Just for further reading, read Proverbs 9, verse 9. It goes right along with this. I won't read it here. That's just for you if you'd like to do that in your own, but it really connects this idea. And so I encourage you to do that. Anyways, short one today. That's it. God willing, be back on tomorrow for Proverbs 8, verse 6. In the meantime, have a great day. May God help us all to be those that look into gaining wisdom. See you later.